Hi there, it's Chuck with Pocket Snakes again. Today I'm going to show you how to spin some DuPont Kevlar yarn. This is like 36-pound yarn or something. It's a pretty heavy yarn, and I'm going to show you how to spin an 8-strand cracker. So I pull enough material, which is about 1 meter, so about 6 feet. My cubit's about 18 inches, so going around it is about 3 foot, 6 foot. And I cut it, and I tie the ends of the yarn together. Make a knot so the two ends are tied together. Then I have a hook, a spinning hook, and a crook. And first, I'm going to drop it. So I put it on the hook, and there's a hook up here by the camera on the pole. And I hook both yarns there. And so what you want are all 4 strands to be on the hook and fairly even tension. And then I spin this and I count the spins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's very hard to spin at this point because I'm pulling this way, pulling down on it with about 7-8 pounds of tension. And this hook is made of coat hanger wire, and it's very small diameter, so at some point it becomes difficult to turn, and before the yarns knot up, and then you put the crook on it and fold it, and this crook has an end that comes out the middle, leaving a loop. So it wants to spin clockwise because I was spinning it counterclockwise, and so now I spin it clockwise, and then I hold on to it and give it some tension. I drop it. The scissors again, and I cut off all the loops. So we started with 2 loops, which is 4 strands, 2 in each loop. And then we spun it and we folded it, so there's 8 strands in here. There'll be 4 on the left and 4 on the right. I use my thumb from the joint to the tip of my thumb because I know when that unravels, I have about a 3-inch feather. And so I have to try and separate out a single yarn bundle. And I create a half hitch against the stem. So it's like an overhand knot against the stem of the cracker. And I seat it. And then I go to the other feather, and I separate out a single yarn from the second feather. It's hard to tell if this is 2 yarns. Nope, it's 1 yarn, and I throw a half inch against the stem. And then I pull it down. And I call this a size 8 cracker. And this little bent wire shape allows you to quickly install it on a soda straw. And you can make your own out of coat hanger wire. And this makes about a 9-inch cracker. My hand span's about 9 inches with about a 2 3/4, 3-inch feather on it. And when you drop your yarn and you drop all your stuff, it slows you down. And I drop stuff all the time. So I pinch it and I leave 2 or 3 inches out of there because I need it to be a little bit longer than my cubit twice. So 1, 2, so that's just about a meter of this Kevlar. And you can use expensive scissors or you can use kind of junk scissors. It doesn't matter. It's not easy to cut the Kevlar. It will eventually where the scissors are dull then because it's such a tough fiber. But I like to set the knot right in the hook. You pull it up and put the tail in through. You try and get it all 4 strands basically even. And I spin it. You don't have to count out loud. But if you lose count, then you're not quite sure if it's tight enough. But eventually you get to a certain point that's as much tension as you can put in it before it tries to throw a bump into this spun Kevlar yarn. One thing I like about this is it has almost no waste, because the only thing you're cutting is just where the knots are. So you cut where the loops are. Oh, there's only one knot in this case. And so your waist is literally that much. And put it on the joint, bring it around the tip of your finger. You can flick it and it will kind of separate for you. Throw a 1/2 inch against the stem. And you can tie bigger knots than this, but this is the smallest knot that I know will hold the cracker together. And you can always throw a big old knot in it, but I don't like big knots. And even if you only grab 1/2 a strand of the yarn, it's sufficient to keep the cracker tied. But you do need part of a yarn or a yarn from each side to seat. Then you put it on the soda straw. So that's how to spin an 8-strand or a size 8 Kevlar yarn cracker. Sourcing the yarn is difficult because they don't sell it in like 20 feet sections. You have to buy a very large industrial spool of it, or find somebody who will spool you off 500 yards. And 500 yards is a spool about like that big around, about this wide, and doesn't weigh hardly anything. About 100 grams is all. But anyway, this is Pocket Chuck with Pocket Snakes. You have a wonderful day, and that's how to spin the 8-strand or 8-yarn cracker.